there is an enormous drive at the energy retailers to improve their processes to become more green. And you can also see that in the new talent that they are hiring, the new talent that is working at the retailers. They really are actively choosing a more green path to really make an impact. Now with the recent energy crisis, a lot of companies went bust. So it's also about making sure that it can work for the long term, and that adds another layer of complexity. It starts with pricing, offering it to your customers, but it also touches on seeing stuff on your invoice. Like that's a whole different department in an energy retailer. If you're talking bi-directional, then you're talking, okay, forecasting, because you don't only need to forecast the consumption, but you also need to forecast that generation, that renewable energy. Where is it coming from? How can we forecast it? How can we buy it? And then again, they're looking at profitability from a retailer point of view. So like, where are they still making their money? So they also need to do the financial analysis on that. And that is so complex to tie all of that together. When you look at large B2B players, they actually have flex contracts. Flex or click contracts is where the consumer themselves can actually decide how they trade by keeping track of the market, or by having a very operational process where they can shift some of their production facilities to use energy in a more suitable time. But if you look at on the retailer side, how all of that is handled, it is very customer per customer basis that things are handled. There are specific people assigned to those contracts to also make sure that the billing and everything is right. So that is still a very manual process on the retailer side to offer that flexibility for the large B2Bs, which is of course amazing that they already do that. But if you want to scale that to a B2C or to an SME portfolio, that will require way more automation of all of those processes, way more smart systems to be able to facilitate that, because the manual work that now has to be put into making all of that a reality is just not something that is scalable. I think there is definitely an early adopter suite of customers that is willing to pay attention and put in some of the work. But from talking to retailers also on the B2C side, to get really across the chasm and like make it possible for the larger heap of customers, a lot of it again will need to be automated in a smart way. Like, what you want is you get your invoices, they're always lower than I expect, and if they're higher, I want to know in advance and why. But that's about it. So if we want to make it smarter, if we want to make it more green, if we want to tell you this is how your energy is produced, it's going to really need to be a push from the energy retailer side and really lower that threshold for the consumer to do so. I think it's also going to be more and more important to have all of those different consumptions and forecasts align across the retail business as well, because there's operational impacts where they have to report to distributors, but there's also financial impact with what are you then still going to buy, what prices are going where. So it's kind of next to, yes, there will be a big leap in what needs to be forecasted, because there's just more assets, more individual or lower level forecasts that are needed to just know what is being produced, what is being consumed. It's also how can retailers make sure that it aligns across the entire business, so that both everything that's happening on the billing side is correct and they can inform the consumers correct, but also at the higher level they can buy from the wholesale market correct. So it's going to be a large investment to make sure, like, make all of this match at the right levels and come out with the right prices, but also the right reporting back into the market as well.